must have a CD. Good afternoon, folks. It's 5 minutes this side of the hour, 3 o'clock. You listen to 90.1 FM KPFT right here in beautiful Houston, Texas. And it is my extreme pleasure and highest honor of the afternoon to introduce a very special, exclusive and exalted guest into the studio. Doug McLeod in the house. Hey, Doug. How you doing, baby?
How you doing, Al?
Oh, it's so good to have you here in town again.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I was worried about that introduction because I was somewhere doing the show, and there was an old disc jockey that said, we have a very extinguished gentleman with us. And Robert Lockwood said, I ain't dead yet.
Extinguished. It's so good to have you back here in town,
Thanks,
man.
It's good to be with you guys, too.
Now,
sounds good now.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, man.
You are on the road in support of a brand new release. No moss been growing on your loafers.
No, sir.
Once again on Reference Recordings. Mm-hmm. It's a new CD. It's called There's a Time.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit different because you got some guys accompanying on the project.
Well, yeah, it's some guys. Jimmy Bott, the really great blues
solid drummer.
He's so good. And my longtime bass player and buddy, Denny Croy, on bass. And we actually recorded this album at Skywalker Studios in Marin County. That place is so big.
How big is it, Doug?
I won't tell you. I said it's so big that they could put us in there with the London Philharmonic, the Count Basie Memorial Orchestra, the Duke Ellington Orchestra. You could have had a caterer and a harmonica player and still had room for more.
That's big. That's a big place.
It's a big place, man.
Big place.
So we did it without headphones, and we just played together like three guys sitting on a porch. And that's why I think it has the sound it has. You know?
Well, that's kind of surprised me because, I know you as a solo cat, a lone wolf. You're doing your own thing.
Right.
And it's kind of easy to travel by yourself. And
yes.
But how did this come up? Did you just have an epiphany? Were you in a club with some of these guys one time and said, "Let me call my old buds and do this"? How did it come to pass?
Well, it came to pass.
There'd be some logistical thing going on there.
You're so smart with that stuff. Now I forgot how it come to pass. Let me think. I was talking to Jan Mancuso, who was one of the producers. She and I produced the album. And she said, well, what do you have in mind? I said, well, I always have songs. And some of the songs, like the one we got queued up, is just me and Denny. And then the one that'll follow it, Black Nights, is the three of us. And I was checking out the songs, and I said, a song like Black Nights, for instance, that's an old, when I was coming up, the old guys used to call that a blues ballad. That means it's going to have some different changes than a normal 12-bar blues. The thing is, they never told you what the changes were going to be. They're just going to say, this is a blues ballad, and maybe you get the key, and then you would play it. And I said, well, for that, maybe some drums with brushes and a bass player. So there's solo stuff and duo stuff and trio stuff on the record.
And Bott's like a hawk. You couldn't shake him at all.
He's amazing. It was 16 years since we recorded together, and it felt like we had just done it a week ago. Jimmy's we have some kind of synergy. We're already talking about doing a new album with this company, and I'm thinking maybe me and Jimmy do some stuff on a different kind of angle.
All right. Well, now tell me about this, guys, because Reference Recordings, these guys have been really solid to you. They give you just complete creative freedom to kind of run with the big dogs in it.
Pretty much. It's they're an old classical, 35 years. They did classical music, kind of like what Telarc has done. They were doing classical, and then all of a sudden they decided to go into blues and so on. Well, they have too, and they're an audiophile label, so there's no compression on the recordings. It's as if you were sitting there and you heard the music. Now, last night I did this concert, this house concert, and for Fred and Linda.
Send a shout out to those guys.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, the house concerts here are just wonderful, and they're super people. And Fred is an audiophile, and he played the CD for me on his audiophile speakers. And it sounds like it sounded when we were making the record. I mean, and I love that. That makes you feel like you're part of the music, you know.
That's a beautiful thing, man. It's hard to find people in the music business that have that same vision as the artist. Somebody's always want to monkey with something and change things around.
Yeah,
and degrade what you going in thinking about.
Well, maybe because I've been doing this so long, I don't really care. If they don't want to do it my way, the heck with them.
You wouldn't be in on R&R otherwise. Oh, Doug McLeod here in the studio, folks. If you just tuned in, Doug is just blowing through town just for a hot minute, on his way to bigger and better destinations, which I understand you're going to Merlefest and doing some workshops and doing some performances up there?
Yes, I'm going to do the festival. This is my second time to do it. But now, you know, Doc Watson has passed away. The first time I did this festival, I thought it was such a treat to be able to be, because, you know, you have the backstage pass, right? So that means you can get around, you know. And
we know you get around.
We know you around backstage. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right.
You know, I hope my wife is not listening to the stream on this. Thanks, James, for ruining my life, you know. I'm going to have to write a bad song. And I saw him. I couldn't have been more than, 30 feet from him. And watching him play, you know, wow. And now I wonder what it'll be like that he's not there. Because I know for being a musician, they pay you nice, they take care of you. But the big deal was I got to see and hear Doc Watson right up close.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big influence on your music?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Let me put it like this: then, what influence did his particular take on music?
Blues?
Well, because a lot of it wasn't blues. I mean, there was.
I know
it was a flavor. It was a Watson flavor. It was his own flavor.
It was his flavor.
So how did that translate to you? And
his honesty.
See, there you go.
His honesty. His music was honest to me, and I could listen to it. I'm driving, and I would hear it, and. In fact, one of the songs called that's on the new album is called "A Ticket Out." That was a direct influence. Maybe we ought to play that too. Maybe we ought to switch it over.
Okay.
Play that one.
I'm looking at it right now. That's track number 6.
Yeah, let's do that one because we're talking about Doc right now.
I got it queued up right now. Track number 6.
And it was influenced by his music. Until this guy come up to me and tell me, he said, "You know, Doc Watson never played in an open tuning, and this is in an open tuning." And I said, "Man, you didn't really have to tell me that, did you?"
You got to do it your own way, right?
Right.
Doug McLeod, brand new music here on Reference Recordings, a wonderful label. The name of the new CD is called "There's a Time." We'll be back and we'll visit on the other side with Doug. Doggone it, Doug. I got to play the song game. We were talking the whole time. I didn't get to listen to the song. So you do that to me. You see, you come down here to Houston, Texas, and you do that to me. Why you do that to me, Doug? Doug McLeod here in the studio, folks. If you just tuned in, we are having some kind of fun. If you don't have a good time visiting with Doug McLeod, you've already flatlined. That's all I can say. Doug, where did you drive in from? You were here in the area last night, but before that, were you
Dallas?
In Dallas?
Dallas, and before that was Tempe, Arizona. I mean, I had a guy come up to me and said, "Man," he said, "you travel just like the old guys did back in the 20s and the 30s." I said, "Are you kidding? That's a Honda Accord I got out there, man." Those guys weren't riding in something like that, you know.
And they darn sure get 300,000 miles on a vehicle either.
I'm telling you, and but to me, still, I love it. I love driving. And I love playing, and I love seeing friends. This is like when Honey Boy and I were talking years ago. Honey Boy and I were talking about what that life was like, and they were friends. He'd go to a town and he'd know somebody, and he'd see somebody, and they were really friends, and they laughed and had a good time. My life is kind of like that. Now, why would I want to change that?
That's a joyful reunion right there.
Yes, sir.
It kind of ticks me off. Sometimes I'm running across musicians. They talk about life on the road, doing this and that. Once it could be a tough life, no doubt about it. But those good times, those are the pictures you got in your scrapbook. You don't take pictures of those bad times, do you?
I tell you something. I always kind of think about it this way. I could be tarring roofs in the summertime.
As someone who's done that, I can sure identify with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed.
The summertime in Houston, I could be doing that. So I'm not going to complain. I love what I do. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do it. And I'm not complaining about it.
You're blessed. I mean, a little bit earlier, I was talking to Eric Gales, and I was going through his bio and said I started playing guitar at 4 years old. And I said, man, I was still trying to figure out how to count my toes when I was 4 years old. And you playing guitar. I mean, one of these child prodigies and everything. I'd like to, I've always been fascinated by the minds of a musician because they're a different animal altogether than regular folk.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Because you just now noticed.
I just found this out right now.
Oh, yeah, because how I'm trying to get inside a mind like yours and figure out how you are able to compose some of these songs you compose. Where does your muse come from? Do you carry around a scrapbook all the time, a notepad with something, somebody says something, or just an epiphany in the middle of the night, you dream? What is it? All the above.
Kind of that. It's I am not the kind of guy that can wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, sit down at the desk and say, I'm going to write now for the next 3 or 4 hours. That's not going to happen with me. I was watching this program, and they were talking to Duke Ellington about what it's like to write music. And it's kind of like what he says. He said, well, there's sometimes when you're just absolutely so tired, and that bed looks so good, and it's clean sheets, and you put on your favorite pajamas, and it's dark, and you've just read a wonderful book, and you're happy, and you put your head down on the pillow, and you're just about ready to sleep, and all of a sudden, you're getting up.
You just can't ever tell.
You can't ever tell. And the other thing is, if you don't get it, I believe if you don't get up out of that bed and get that song, the song says, okay, I'll go to the next guy. So you got to get up and got to do it. It'll come to you. I was driving. I got an idea for a song for the next album. I was driving. Just came to me. And so I take out, I got an iPhone. I go, Siri, take this note. She does. Siri takes the note. And then when I get back to the hotel, I write it out. And there's the beginnings of a song.
All right. Doug McLeod here in the studio visiting and talking about a brand new CD. The name of the new CD is called There's a Time on Reference Recordings. It is a fabulous record, folks. If you are a fan of storytelling, a fabulous acoustic picking, this is custom made for your library. Pick it up. There's a Time, Doug McLeod. I wish you were going to be staying around in town for a couple more days to do some more shows in the area, but the road calls.
Work out on this trip. It was more like there's some business I have to do Wednesday in Atlanta before I get up there to Wilkesboro. So it just worked out this way. I'm gonna stay with friends tomorrow, Rich and Lisa. I'm gonna stay with them tomorrow.
Sweet folks.
Hang out, and then get up in the morning and head on my way to Atlanta.
All right. That's On My Way to Atlanta.
That's right not a bad song title.
That's a song right there. On My Way to Atlanta.
Yeah, On My Way to Atlanta.
I'll give you something to work on the car. Yeah. Serious? Take this down. Let's play this song. You just mentioned a song a while ago, track number 2 on the new CD. It's called Black Nights. You want to reset the setup?
Sure. And it's a funny thing. Now, this song I wrote in 1979, and I never, ever used it. I never recorded it, never even thought about it. And I'd moved all my music on to my iPod, and I'm driving along, and all of a sudden I put it on songs because, sometimes you forget all the songs. If you keep playing the same playlist, you just hear the same thing. So I put it on songs. All of a sudden this song come out, and I go, that's a good song. And I go, I wrote that song.
You got wonderful taste.
I'm not the most modest guy in the world, but and then I said, you know what? That's an old times kind of blues ballad where there's a bridge to it, and it's a song that I wrote about that feeling in a love relationship when you cannot reach the one you love. There's something that is between the two of you, and you at night you look over at her, and she's sleeping, her mouth is open. She's not even worried. What you want to do is take your elbow and just punch her, a little bit, wake her up, and just make her uncomfortable for a minute because you're so blue,
Uh-huh.
So I wrote that song called Black Nights.
Boy, listen to this one, folks. Yes, Yes, indeed. We would love to see you down here answering phones for us during our upcoming fund drive. And please remember to save a couple little extra something and throw it the old hound's way so we can keep coming here on Sunday afternoon and doing what we love to do so much. And that's visiting with world-class artists like Mr. Doug McLeod here in the studio today.
Well, thanks, James. Like I said, it's a pleasure to be here, and I hope the pledge drive goes really well because these stations are so important to keep this kind of music alive and well, and
From a traveling musician's standpoint, it's ever more, increasingly more important.
Yeah.
For musicians to get the word out.
Absolutely, especially in this day and age. So these are valuable gems in every city. So if you're residing here in Houston, I would
blues
ask
hound,
you to,
a blues hound, a valuable gem. I don't know about that one.
Well, I'm just being polite because I'm your guest. I'm sure the people know the truth.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. Doug McLeod, keeping it real here this afternoon. Doug, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Now the fun's gonna start right now.
Okay.
Because I done put the CD up.
Okay.
And we got actual guitars in the studio.
Yeah. Me and Moon.
Now tell us about your various guitars. You got names for all your guitars,
All of them,
and they're all your babies.
All of them, every one of them. Two are retired. Mule has retired, and Scrapper Mule was an original M1 National. I had a P90 on it. I used it for many years. It's on the cover of Brand New Eyes and Unmarked Road, and I used it for years and years. And the guys at National asked me, because I've been endorsing them for 15, 16 years, something like this. I don't know. They said to me one time, they said, "Doug, would you ever consider playing a guitar that's in our catalog?" I said, well, Mules no, because when they called up to get the guitar like that, when they heard the upcharge that it would cost them, they said, well, we'll get something else. So they said, "Would you consider that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, we're going to make you one, and we're going to give it to you, and see if you like it." And I said, "Well, if I don't like it, can I go back to playing Mule?" They said, "Sure you can." I said, "Okay." So I got this one, and about 4 months into my time with her, I get a call from Eric at National. He says, "Doug, how you like the guitar?" I said, "I like it." He said, "Have you named it yet?" I said, "No, I haven't named it." And I could hear the deflation go over the other end of the phone because he knew if I didn't name it, he wasn't sure I was happy with it. So another month passes, calls me again, says, "Doug, how's that guitar come along?" I said, "I like it." He says, "Have you named it?" I go, "Yeah, her name is Moon." He goes, "Yes." So this is how Moon came about.
So there's another mule now kicking in Moon style. Oh, that was a long reach, but I had to go there.
It sure was a long reach. That's what I was looking at your face. I said, what's he thinking about while I'm telling this great story?
What I'm talking about? Doug McLeod, if you just tuned in, we have the great Doug McLeod, a master storyteller. If you've been listening so far, it's always a treat to have Doug come in because it's a laugh a minute.
Same here. I mean, so are you, Jim.
Well, we try to keep it fun here on Out on the Blues, and it's with guests such as yourself. It's this ain't work, that's for sure.
I know. It's great to be with you.
It's great reunion. Because I tell you, man, what you got lined out for us?
Well, you wanted to hear that one song?
Yeah, set this one up because when we played this song during our Easter special, the phones lit up. Now, we didn't get a whole lot of phone calls. We got some, "Oh, yeah, this is very nice. It reminds me of my dad," or, different, memories could flood back and we get some nice calls. But the phones lit up on this song like, man, who did this? Because he's saying what I'm thinking a lot of times when I have these conversations with, let's say, some folks with religious fervor.
Yeah, this is a true story. Got done with a sound check in Des Moines, Iowa, and they had me on musician time. That means the show starts at 9, so the sound check was at 6 because they figured I'd show up at 8, right? My sound checks are like 3 minutes. So what am I going to do in Des Moines for 3 hours? So I was walking around, and this fella actually came up to me and started talking to me. The thing that amazed me was I realized he was a very fervent religious fellow. And I asked him about some questions, and he had some very interesting answers. So I decided I'd put it in a song. This is called Dub's Talking Religion Blues, and it's going to sound exactly like this. I was standing on a Des Moines corner one day when this fella come up and say, you know what Jesus say? I said, I'm not sure I know what Jesus you talking about. He said, well, I'm talking about the one that saved my life. I said, you can't mean the gardener, my ex-wife. He said, no, I'm talking about the only route. I said, well, look here, man, what you say? He says, yes, I'm talking about the light and the only way to save your soul from hell and eternal damnation. I said, you telling me if I don't believe the way you believe that hell's the final resting place for me? He said, yeah. I said, I didn't realize I was in that bad a situation. He said, have you read the Bible? I said, not all the way through. He said, I think it's something you ought to do. Because every word in there is truth. That's a proven fact. I said, you take the Bible literally? He thought for a moment. He said, I do really. I said, well, look, I got a problem concerning that. Now, you take the book they call Leviticus. Don't you think some of the things in there are a little ridiculous? Like, you can stone your kid if he talks back to you. And if your sideburns are going a little too long, woo, they can whoop on you because you know that's wrong. You going to tell me those are Christian-like things to do? And how about Jonah in the whale? How can you go in the mouth and not come out the tail? Now that right there has always puzzled me. He said, well, you don't have to be puzzled no more. It was a miracle that brought Jonah to the shore. The whale spit him out and sailed on out to the sea. I said, well, what do you think about evolution? He said, now you talking about the evil solution. We all come from the Garden of Eden and sacred soil. I said, well, what do you think about carbon dating? He said, that's scientific misinformation. God worked 6 days, and on the seventh day, God rested from his toil. I said, well, how you know God's a man? Could be a woman, you understand? Or a combination of both. What do you think of that? He laughed. He said, man, that could never be. God's a he and not a she. That's written in the Bible, and everybody know that's fact. I said, well, look, I've heard that the Bible's been changed, because when you translate words, sometimes the meanings ain't the same. In fact, they even left some of the chapters out. Then you had these nefarious leaders doing dastardly deeds, so what could be maybe ain't what it seems. Don't you think to a thinking mind that's got to raise a little doubt? He said, my friend, you question wrong, because I'm just here to bring you home. And brother, I just want to save your soul. I was thinking we became brothers and friends real fast, like two ex-wives getting together to kick my... I think it's time for this boy to get told. You can preach, you can proselytize, tell me how to live my life, and I know, all done in your God's name. But I think me and God, we're doing all right. By the golden rule, I try to live my life and zealous like you. Don't feel the same. And most Christians, I know they ain't like you. And they believe in Jesus and his teachings too, but their words heal rather than inflame. So somebody, get my BB gun. I'm going to shoot this boy in the bum. Because if I shot him in the head, I would miss his brain. You know, you speak softly, but your message is hard, telling me your way's the only way to God. But I'm going to tell you, I just don't agree. If we're all children of God and we're all brothers, how can your chosen go to heaven and not the others? Now, that way of thinking just don't sit right with me. What about the Native Americans? They walked here first, saw God in the sky, the rivers in the earth. You going to tell me they ain't going to heaven? He said, no, they shall be denied because they did not know the one crucified. I said, well, that makes as much sense to me as 2 and 2 is 7. I think Jesus was a great prophet, one of the few who come here, speak a simple truth, like respecting others and living by the golden rule. But you don't respect my right to believe the way I hear God speaks to me. So the way I see it, ain't much Christian in what you do. So, man, this is the end of you and me, because right now I'm on leave, because conversating with you ain't nothing but flawed. But there's one thing I would like you to know, and I'm going to tell you before I go. I believe an honest prayer will find the ear of God. So you can preach, you can proselytize, tell me how to live my life, and I know it's all done in your God's name. But me and God, we're doing all right by the golden rule. I try to live my life, but zealous like you just don't feel the same. And most Christians, I know they ain't like you, and they believe in Jesus and his teachings too, but their words heal rather than inflame. So somebody, get my BB gun. I'm gonna shoot this boy in the bum. Because if I shot him in the head, I would miss his brain. Oh, man. And without any words in front either. Holy smoke, that's a long song.
You pulled that one off, brother. Way to go. Doug McLeod here in the studio. That's one of the many songs that can be found on his brand new release titled There's a Time. But we had the pleasure of witnessing it firsthand right here in the studio. You can preach and you can proselytize. And what was that other one? The one, I'm going to draw a blank on it right now. There's a word you used in there, and you kind of changed up a little bit.
Conversating.
Yeah, conversating.
Conversating with you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful music from Doug McLeod. Excellent storyteller. Doug, I know you're an old radio guy. Do you ever miss doing radio?
Yeah, I do sometimes. I really do. I come here to be with you. It was like this for me. It was like fun. It was something that
all your buddies get to come and visit with you.
You do that, and I remember when we used to be able to answer the phone, there was one time. Can I tell you a story?
Sure, absolutely. No, stop right there.
It was Father's Day. And this fella called me up, and he said, Doug McLeod? I said, yes. He said, would you do me a favor? It's Father's Day. I said, it sure is. He said, would you play Those So-Called Friends of Mine by Joe Beard? I said, yeah. I said, but that's a 7-minute song, and it's slow. He said, it's Father's Day. My dad's 86 years old, and that's the song he wants to hear. I said, okay, I'll do it. And being like community radio, I knew if you put a 7-minute song on, that gives you time to go to the bathroom, get some coffee, and catch up on your notes and everything. All right. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So I go to the bathroom and stuff. I come back. I got about 3 minutes left on it, right? The phone rings. And I answer the phone. I go, K-Jazz, and I hear on the other end of the line, I want to speak with Doug McLeod. I said, this is Doug McLeod. Is this Doug McLeod, the disc jockey? I said, yes. She said, what are you doing? I said, I'm playing blues for you. She said, this is a slow song. This is a long, slow song. What are you doing? I said, well, it's because this fella, his father, is like 86 years old. It's Father's Day, so he wanted to hear it. She said, well, I'm going to tell you, I'm having a hard time keeping my husband up. And I said to her, madam, I don't think that's my problem. Then I told that story over the air, right? And the producer, he was laughing so hard, he had to pull over the side of the road. But I missed that. That was part of the fun of radio, where you could reach out to people, and they were entertained by that, and I was entertained, and, I'm sure that 86-year-old guy had a great laugh out of that,
Absolutely. Doug McLeod joined us here in the studio today, having some fun, playing some songs off his CD. Now, picking live in the studio. We're talking about that, how much, not only fun, but we consider this a privilege to come here on Sunday afternoons and to be able to do what we love so much, and to have so much fun to bring this and share this joy that we have with our listeners out there. It's a dwindling thing in radio these days, and I'm hoping that during our upcoming fund drive, people will find in their hearts to support this kind of radio.
I hope so too, because you can't find it anywhere else. I don't care where you go in this country. You cannot find it anywhere else. It's only on these channels, only on these types of stations that you get such a diverse mix. And what radio used to be like, you're choosing the songs. You're choosing the song. It's not somebody telling you, this is not the list that you're going to play, that you're going to hear on every other station. This is you saying, I'm going to play this song. I'm going to do this.
That's right.
There's some entertainment in that.
Nobody's picking it out, that's for sure. Now, you used to be a regular contributor to a major magazine, a blues magazine here in the U.S., and you used to write so many wonderful little short essay stories of your travels. When are you going to compile those things together into a book and then add to some more stuff, travels? I know that you've talked about doing it in the past, but are we getting closer to doing that?
Yeah, we are getting closer.
Because I know you could just sell a boatload of those things.
I'm thinking of doing that, and also some friends have said, why don't you add some of your cooking stuff in there and some of the pictures of the old guys and just some of the stories, and just make it a book that's more than just stories. You know, you get a recipe and, you know, and some pictures, and yeah, we are working on it.
Now, you like to cook?
I love to cook.
Tell me about your cooking.
Well, no.
Do you have any formal training or anything?
What?
You don't have any formal training?
Oh, hell no. Oh, heck no.
Well, no, that's okay.
Okay. See, we're so informal. I thought we were talking at the kitchen table.
No, so that means you burn a pot or two in your day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I cook, how I cook is like this. Olive oil, garlic, celery, onion, pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Trinity, right?
Okay.
And then if there's something that's about 4 minutes from going bad in the refrigerator, give it to me. And I cook that thing up with all that.
Bring it back to life.
I bring it back to life. But it's part of the thing. I love to do that. Like when we have friends over, we were talking about Terry and Hans.
Uh-huh.
They were in Los Angeles doing their album. And my wife.
For the others, y'all, we're talking about Hans T-Sink, T-Sink and Terry Evans.
And they were doing their album that's out now. It's a darn good record. And my wife said, why don't you invite them over? And, and I'll cook. And I made some, I forget what it was I made, but I put a big old spread out there. And part of the fun of cooking is that with the people hanging out in the kitchen, and, you might have, some people have a glass of wine, some people have amaretto, some people have a beer, you know what I mean? But you're sitting in, you're talking, and you're visiting, and then you sit down to eat, and it's a great experience, and we love doing that.
Well, you're talking about to me, cooking is a community event because we're both friends with the Del Grossos and everything.
Right.
When you go over there for dinner, you making dinner.
That's right.
We all get in the kitchen. We're all going to get in the pots and pans and do a little something.
Yeah.
If it's no more to toss a salad or put some dressing on the table, you'll be getting involved in the project.
That's right. And that makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It makes you feel good.
Yes.
And then when that food is good and it's done, you sit back and go, yes.
Time to pull out the guitar then.
That's right.
Like you got right now.
Well, yeah, and it sticks up like T-Bone Walker after a good dinner.
Doug, what you got lined up for us next?
I don't know.
You play something off the record or just play something out of left field? Whatever you want to do, baby. It's your time.
Is that all right?
It's yours, man.
I might play this. Here might bring some for you people. Sound familiar? That's a little bit. I'm back to Doug now, but. I think I'm going to do a song that's called A Chill on Cold. About a woman that looked hot, but she was not. Now she hunt a prey. Like the gator hunt a swamp. She make love to two fools. Just to get what she want, huh? She gonna take a rich man's money, like throwing a dollar in the well. She make an angel leave heaven for the gates of hell. I said, ooh, little girl, put a chill on cold. Is she pretty but got no soul? Hello, she put a chill on cold. Now she's a dangerous woman, 'cause she can't feel Ain't nothing but a love you find out is real. She will go down just to break up your home. She get what she want. You find that little girl gone. I say, ooh, baby. Little girl, put a chill on cold. Is she pretty but got no soul? Yes, she put a chill on cold. She don't love nobody except herself. When she says she loves you, she got somebody else. She like a queen bee. She rule with honey. You think she wants your stinger, man? That woman just wants your money. Ooh. Whoa, little girl, put a chill on cold. Is she pretty but got no soul? Lord, she put a chill on cold.
Wow, Doug McLeod live here in the studio K50. That girl put a chill on cold. Now, is that from a life experience, or is that something just as a fictional character?
Is this streaming to LA?
Yes, it is.
Fictional character.
Good answer, Doug. Good answer. Doug McLeod, what a treat to have Doug here in the studio. Once again, he's on the road. And unfortunately, he's not going to be playing here in Houston again this weekend. But he's on the road in tour of a brand new CD called There's a Time on a wonderful label. It's called Reference Recordings. This isn't the first one for Doug on Reference, but I think he's found a really good home with some fine folks that treat him good and let him have a free reign with whatever he wants to do.
I'm really glad to be with him. I like I say, I feel like I fell into a bowl of whipped cream with these people. You know, they're so refreshing. Honest people, we're almost like a handshake thing. We agree to something. We just sign a paper, you know, because you got to. But that's a nice way to be, I think. You know?
Yeah. The music business is sure evolving, the way it's distributed and the way it's moved around in the what they call the cloud now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting money stolen out their pockets with not even knowing it.
Ooh, I can't say this on the radio, but there's a lot of things, that they're trying to get a hold of now. Yeah. And they're going to Congress with this stuff and trying to, a lot of people still think that once a song is out there, that's public domain. But that's our work. We work for that. And if you do a work, you get paid for it. We should get paid too. Songwriters should get paid. That's our work. We give it to you. It's out there. You get it. You ought to pay for it.
Have you ever been politically active in any areas?
No,
other than just in your music, you have just throwing in your 2 cents.
Well, I belong to the NARAS, for the Grammy people and stuff, And they send things out where that's how I know that there are certain guys going to Congress and they're fighting for the rights of songwriters and musicians. So they get paid, you know. There's nothing wrong, you know, why shouldn't we get paid?
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at the clock here, Doug, and I wish I could put a stop on it, but we got 14 minutes left in the show, and I'd like you to play for at least 25 more. So can you play two?
We do it?
Can you do a fast one? Can you do it real fast?
I think I'll change the tuning here.
Doug, while you're doing that,
Sure.
Tell the folks how they can find out more about you and your music in your catalog of fine CDs.
Oh, thank you, James. At www.doug-mcleod, MACLEOD.com.
All right.
And I'm going down to tuning here. It's called Too Many D's.
I've heard you talk about this before.
Yeah, I got too many G's, and this is too many D's, you know. And the reason I invented this tuning is I could never get to the minor tuning. I could never get that third right. I hope I don't jinx it that I miss these now, you know.
Might not get it today.
All right, we're going to be all right. This is a song from the new record. This is a song that come from that old thing that I saw when I was in Virginia. As a young guy when I was in the Navy. And I very rarely see it anymore. But guys would sit on a porch, they'd have a guitar, and they'd tell a story. And they would play the guitar while they're telling the story. Some of the guys inside rhymed it. It was an old crazy man that did that. And he inspired me to write. There's two of them. One is called The Night of the Devil's Road, which is on the new album. And this one. No, this one's Night of the Devil's Road. The other one is called Run with the Devil. Mm-hmm. And, well, let me play it for you. You know, sometimes even when you try and walk in the light, you can lose your way to go. And even the best of intentions I'm going to keep you from the devil's road. See, the song you're about to hear is about the elder's wife and the Right Reverend Jones. And the night the people came to call, the night of the devil's road. When reached to the night, left fingers on the hand from here. Long country road, have a story to tell about the elder's wife and the preacher who fell. When he preached his sermon, she stared up at his hand. They were kind, they were gentle, like no other man. Now she could love another she could not understand. See, the elder wife was a mistreated lady. She ain't known years of abuse. And hope now faded. She called the preacher that night. She said, "Preacher, can you keep me from crazy?" Preacher got the door. She said, "Help me, please." He put his arm around her. He could feel the need. And then she brought him down. And she was free. She was free. Preacher left town, left behind his Bible and roll. Nobody knew why. He turned up and go. Except the elder's wife and the Right Reverend John. And now you, my listener, that know the story of the Devil's Road.
Doug McLeod, live here in the studio of KPFT. One of the many songs off his brand new CD, There Is a Time. Of course, that's a song called The Night of the Devil's Road. That's a scenario that's played out more than one time. It's probably across the little small back roads of America.
Yeah, and played through blues, huh?
Yes, indeed.
Lots of blues songs.
Like, good story in there. Great story.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a true story.
Well, I imagine it is.
So I hear.
So you hear?
So they told me.
Doug McLeod here. Well, thanks again, Doug. We just can't say thank you enough. The door is always open. Anytime you're in Texas and Houston, you know you can swing by here anytime and do your thing.
Well, I tell you,
we always have a blast with you here in the house.
When we just get the chance to see each other, maybe you guys aren't on the air, but I want the folks to know that the people that you hear on this radio show are the same if you meet them out on the street, and that's a great. You keep on doing it, James.
Thank you, Doug. I do appreciate that. It means a lot.
Love listening to you. Love hanging. You know, you guys are great.
Well, we got to get to California and take you up on that kitchen experience.
I wish you would. I wish you would. We'd love to have you.
Well, what you doing next week? Well, maybe not. Maybe not. That's. Doug, please tell folks one more time how they can find out more about you and your wonderful catalog of music.
Thank you, sir. Doug McLeod. The last name is spelled MacLeod. The website is www.doug-mcleod.com. Also on Facebook. And if you Google me, even under MCCLOUD, you still will eventually
pop up
with me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And any of you folks out there voting for the Grammys or for Blues Awards, throw Doug a little something because I would sure love to see you win Acoustic Blues Artist of the Year. Well, you deserve it. You overdue. You need it.
Well, you know,
been nominated a couple times. That's a good experience. But.
Well, I was talking to, who else been not nominated quite a bit is Jimmy Bott.
Yes, he has.
Jimmy Bott been married. Jimmy Bott been nominated 14 times.
Yeah.
So
he's been a groomsman to the wedding a bunch of times, but never. He's been a groomsman to that wedding many times, but
yes, he has.
That's right.
So Jimmy and I were talking. I said, Jimmy, I'm sure glad you're around. He said, why? I said, because as long as you're around, I'll never be the bottom rung of the ladder.
I'm sure that made him feel real good. Doug, we got to wrap this up, but I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to open the phone lines real quick, and I'm going to give away, with your permission, an autographed copy of this brand new CD we're going to mail to one of our lucky winners.
We'll sign it for him, too.
All right, just you have to give us the name of this artist that we've had is here in the studio, 713-526-573. We'll be right back. Okay, call number 6. How about that? 713-526-573. Doug, thanks again, man. You're the best.
Pleasure, James. Thank you.